Alrighty guys, welcome back to part 1 of our actual playthrough for Legacy of Dragonholt. This will be part 1. We did character creation and kind of intro to the story and everything in part 1. So in the intro character creation one. So check out that video. We're going to go over some stuff. Between last episode and this episode, I got a lot of stuff done for you guys. I downloaded the interactive character sheet. I refilled out our whole character from our little sheet of paper onto the character sheet. And what I decided to do, instead of like having the cameras all zoomed in and trying to do things here, this is an RPG experience. So it's about what's going on and what you're thinking and using your imagination and everything. So because of that, what I've done is I decided to just do this. You see the character, we're going to outline the character sheet and we're going to go over it, and then it's just going to be me talking to you as your DM or somebody reading a story to you or whatever you want to think about. So Kara the Gifted. Okay, so I was able to get our Legacy of Dragonholt character sheet. I also got the campaign sheet, which we're going to need downloaded as well. And also 2 new roads tracking sheet as well. So we have all of those ready to go. So let's go over, if you didn't watch our character creation, we are Kara the Gifted. Kara. Let's go with Kara. Kara. Not Kara. Kara. Let's go with Kara the Gifted. She's a Dawnsmoor elf. She's an apothecary. She's 786 years old. She is female. There's a picture of her right there if you're wondering what she looks like. And I kind of just used a reference out of one of the books. I liked one of the characters and I was like, yeah, cool. She has arcane, agility, survival, streetwise, alchemy, deception, awareness, and craftsmanship are her skills. So let's go over her background, her personality, ideas, and physical description. So let's we'll go from right to left. I think that's probably the best way to do it. We'll see. Physical description. So she is a Wow. What's breathing? No. Breath. Breathtaking. She's a breathtaking beauty. I don't know what that was. Just ignore that. She's a breathtaking beauty with long flowing red hair, which she lets grow to hide the scars her disease has given her. Although she has more internal scars than external scars, she carefully and thoughtfully watches over her every move to make sure that no one suspects there is more to her than meets the eye. She has learned the craft of lying and deceit. In her eyes, it's the only thing keeping her alive and the only ability worth mastering. Look at that. See that? Yeah, cool. All right. Personalities and ideas. The cure. The one and singular goal that she has given herself ever since the day she became infected. Lycanthropy is all-consuming, and the disease has ruined her life. She blames it. She curses it. She's being destroyed by it from the inside out. Strong-willed with the hint of stubbornness causes her to forego most common pleasures, concentrating instead on study and testing, hoping one day to find that one ingredient that will finally bring her peace. Dun, dun, dun. And last but not least, her background. She had struggled with this sickness all of her life. She has struggled with this sickness all of her life. The disease of lycanthropy. At a small age, she was infected, and she has sworn to find the long-lost cure, and that is why she became an apothecary. but she keeps her disease a secret, hidden from everyone, which makes it hard for her to find many friends or to bring anyone too close to her heart. Mostly a loner, keeping to herself and her studies, trying to find the right combination of ingredients that will fight this disease once and for all. And that is where we will start in Chapter 1, 12 hit points, arcane agility, survival, streetwise, alchemy, deception, awareness, and craftsmanship. Okay, so again, this is mostly story reading and stuff. Do you need to see this? No, you don't. So I'm gonna make it so a little bit easier so you can just see what's going on, imagine what's going on, use your imagination, and enjoy it. Okay. So, because I'm not sure if everyone watched Part 1 or character creation, I'm going to go over this again. Dun, dun, dun. We're going to go over this again. I know, for those who have already seen it, you're like, I've already seen this. Well, sorry, there's probably a lot of people that didn't see it. Okay, you slump down on a wooden bench, stretching your legs. You've been traveling for nearly a week now towards a small village called Dragonholt. Your journey is the request of Celeste, a former adventurer companion and friend, who has since found her calling and is a tutor to the children of Countess Regina Fairfax, Lady of Dragonholt. You make a moment to reread the letter she sent you. Dun, dun, dun. We have the wonderful letter. My friend, I pray this letter finds you in good health, and for once, because I need you to travel. As you might have heard, I have taken a position as a tutor in the household of Lady Regina Fairfax, Countess of Dragonholt, just outside the village. I elected to take this position because I hoped for some peace and quiet after that business in Necrothal. Had I known what my future held, I would have done something else entirely. Lady Regina's 3 children are more than lively enough to deny me anything resemblance peace or quiet. Even now they are mainly grown. I am still remain very busy. But I did not write to you to complain about my lot in life, as you know. I never complain, even when the so-called dwarven wine is very obvious and inferior human vintage. Again, or when my very favorite cloak, the blue one, is stained by some drunken lush spilling his wine. Elves really should stay out of human taverns. I write to you because I fear something sinister is at work here in Dragonholt, and I require your assistance. I dare not say more openly, as I think it likely the message will be intercepted. I can trust no one here to help me with this matter. After that business in Necrothal, I have only you and a handful of allies left. Please help me. There is more at stake than you know. Celeste. And it's signed with a little note on the outer side that says, please refer to my first letter. We continue in the book. You are uncertain why Celeste has summoned you to Dragonholt. Her letter is strange, seeking only of vague threats that require your assistance. And although you are sure the letter was written in her hand, the message contains several details that you find uncharacteristic of the elf you adventured with in the past. You had known Celeste to drink dwarven wine, and you would swear she would worn a green cloak. It is not unthinkable that her preferences has changed throughout the years, but something about the way the message is written makes you fear there is more to the letter than is obvious. You've always known Celeste to be excessively proper in her speaking. She must have been in panic when running to have produced so many spelling errors. Even more alarming is the brief note on the back of the letter. You have not received any word from Celeste before this one. Could she have sent another letter that was indeed intercepted as she had feared? Regardless of the vagueness of her request, you owe Celeste at least this much. After the business of Necrothal, as the tutor to the employee of the Countess, she must be in a position to reward you handsomely for your assistance you can render. Excuse me, is this road the fastest way to Dragonholt? Looking up from the letter, you see Merriman, a gnome merchant you've been traveling with, talking to another traveler and pointing down the path towards a forbidden-looking forest. Aye, if you're going to Dragonholt, you'll have to go through the Evertide Forest. Ain't no way around it. About a day's travel straight through. Merriman thanks the traveler, and he continues on his way in the direction opposite the forest. You fold the letter and stow it away before standing. It won't do to rest for too long. You sling your baggage over your shoulder and prepare to resume your travels. Merriman turns to face you. Well, what are we waiting for? If it's the road to Dragonholt, then let's be off. Merriman has been traveling with you for 3 days now. Like you, she is traveling to Dragonholt, and, as she puts it, when she met you, the more the merrier. We should proceed with caution, calls Braxton from behind you. The orc woman hefts Merriman bag off the ground where the gnome had left it and drops it into Merriman's open arms. Rumor has it, there are bandits about who will make camp in these woods. We should watch our backs as we pass through. Since meeting Merriman and the orc knight errant, you have found Braxton to be the more cautious of the pair by a wide margin. As far as you can tell, Merriman has hired Braxton for protection, but at times the orc seems to down the gnome more than a bodyguard would. You nod in agreement in Braxton's comment. With the last fleeting glance at the crossroads sign, you follow after the energetic gnome who has already started off towards Evertide Forest. So it is now time to make a decision. We have 3 choices. A, let's make some headway before we lose the light. What else have you heard about the bandits? Or stick close, Merriman. It's dangerous to get separated. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to role play my character here, right? So I'm going to role play my character. What would my character think about? What would she worry about? What would be her answers? So if I was to guess, let's make some headway before we lose the light. What else have you heard about the bandits? Stick close, Merriman. It's dangerous to get separated. I think of those 3 choices, Kara, the gifted, would say, let's find out about these bandits, because she knows if she gets attacked by some bandits, they might learn about her disease. They might find out about her secret, and she doesn't need to be captured by some bandits and get her whole life destroyed. So she's very worried about getting captured by some bandits. So what else have you heard about the bandits? Let's read entry 773. 777. What number? Oh, 7773. 7773. Okay. Braxton strides beside you, keeping an ever watchful eye on her eager companion. Not much. I've just heard from some travelers that the number of caravans have been ambushed while passing through. Valuable goods have been taken, but the merchants and traders have been mostly unarmed. We now need to mark story point S1. So There are tons and tons of different story points that, based upon what we do or what we have done, will alter the story. So now we've done S1. So later on, it might say, if you've done S1, read this. If you haven't done S1, read this. In fact, it tells us story points. Story points are abstract recordings of the decisions you made throughout your adventure. They allow future entries or future quests to play out differently depending on the decisions you've made. Story points are recorded on the story tracking sheet. Some effort, like the one above, instructs you to mark one or more story points. To mark a story point, locate it and reference its letter and number, then mark the box with a check mark or X. Some effects in future entries will be resolved differently if specific story points have been marked. Here we go. All right, so then we'll switch back to Kara. So now we have a choice. We should hurry along before it gets dark. Read entry 6620, or Merriman, best you don't get too far ahead. Should we hurry along before it gets dark, or are we worried about losing Merriman? Again, she's a recluse. She doesn't try to become friends with people. If the little gnome gets lost, it's no skin off of her back at all. She knows the way to Dragonholt. She's going that way, so we should hurry along before it gets dark. 6620. 6620. You hustle forward to catch up to the gnome and keep up. Did I read the wrong one? Hang on. Let me make sure we should hurry along before it gets dark. 6620. Yes, okay. So we should hurry along before it gets dark. You hustle forward to catch up to the gnome and keep pace with her. Braxton falls in just behind you. I understand your enthusiasm, but we must take our time once we enter the forest, or we may become lost. Mark entry point A1. A1. Read entry 1340. 1340. As you speak with your traveling companions, small trees begin to dot the terrain around you. Tall grass gives way to brush, and you soon find yourself at the edge of the forest. Time passes. The passage of time. Throughout your adventures, you will track the passage of time on the tracking sheet for the current quest. Each unit of time represents an abstract amount of time that can be anything from a few minutes to a few hours, depending on the current quest. When time passes, mark one box of time with the check marks or an X. Some effects in future entries will reference how much time has passed or if a specific amount of time has passed. So we will mark our sheet to the new roads. We have marked time. One time is gone. We've got entry S1, entry A1, and it's now. As you walk, you take the chance to become better acquainted with your fellow travelers. We can ask Merriman what she plans to do in Dragonholt, or we can ask Braxton what she plans to do in Dragonholt. Kara seems like she's methodical with the lengths she's going to hide her lycanthropy. Hi, Barbara. Welcome back. Good to see you. Yes, she is very methodical. She's deceitful, as we've redone her background, personalities, and physical description a little bit more in depth than we did before. But if you want, you can read those over. I will leave those on the screen for a little bit. So, do we want to find out about Merriman? Or do we want to find out about Braxton? That's our two choices. We can ask them what they want to do in Dragonholt. Do we want to talk to the gnome merchant? Do we want to talk with the half-orc knight, or the orc knight, sorry. So, if you guys have a thought, I would be love to hear what you guys think. You guys kind of understand what Kara, what her motivations are, what her thoughts are. Like what, to be honest, we have to choose one of these two options, but I mean, Kara really doesn't care. She just wants to get to Dragonholt and find out why her friend is summoning her there. I mean, maybe if she talks to the merchant, the gnome merchant, he might be able to tell her where she can find some good items that maybe might help her find a cure. Talking to an orc knight. I mean, what would the knight... I mean, maybe she can talk to him about maybe coming and helping protect her. That's a good thing. She might want to, look for some protection or maybe some help when she gets there. So I could see her talking to either one of the characters. Does she want to talk to Marion, the gnome merchant, or the orc knight? We're going to talk with Merriman. Again, if you guys have any thoughts in the chat and you want to steer my directions, if you think, like I'm not doing something in character, let me know, because I love to hear from you guys in the chat. So that is Kara. All right, so we're going to talk to Merriman, and that says this option does not exhaust your activation token. If you're playing multiplayer, you wouldn't exhaust your token, so that's good. So we get to mark story point E7. So E7. Okay, and then we get to read entry 3579. 3579. Okay, here we go. Oh my, there's a lot of choices coming up. I mean, a lot of choices. Well, we'll read 3579. I'm glad you asked, Bubbles Merriam. I'm going to set up the first apothecary shop that Dragonholt was ever seen. What? We are an apothecary. What? This is crazy. I'll brew potions and sell remedies and make lots of money. She nods, tossing a vial of pink liquid in the air, catching it, and balancing it on her fingers for no particular reason. My aunt can help me get started. She's already run the best inn in town, and she's fantastic tailor too. Merriman flushes her half cape and brightly colored tunic. Ask Merriman what type of potions she brews. Ask Merriman about her family. Exchange brewing recipes with Merriman if we have the alchemy skill, which we do. Compliment Merriman's attire and inquire about its maker. Requires craftsmanship, which we have. Tell Merriman that you know of Dragonholt. Tell Merriman what you know of Dragonholt's markets, which requires streetwise, which we have, and educate Merriman on methods of barter and trade, which requires streetwise. Again, so we can do any one of these options because we have this skill. We are very skillful. We have 8 skills. So we can ask Merriman what type of potion she brews. Ask Merriman about her family. Exchange brewing recipes with Merriman. Compliment Merriman's attire and inquire about its maker. Tell Merriman you know of Dragonholt's markets, or educate Merriman on the methods of barter and trade. Okay, well, I think the first thing she would think of right off the top of her head, I mean, if you look like, boom, personalities and ideas, the cure, the one and singular goal that she's given herself ever since the day she became infected. Lycanthropy is all-consuming and the disease has ruined her life. She blames it. She curses it. She's being destroyed by it from the inside out. Right? So because of that, the first thing she would want to do is exchange recipes with Merriman. Exchange recipes because maybe he's got a recipe that she doesn't have. So we're going to read entry 3876. 3876. 3876. You swap recipes with Merriman, teaching her a useful draught to combat hay fever in exchange for a tunic that can repair broken pottery. But be careful with it, says the gnome. If it touches your skin, you become part of it. Also, says Merriman, as if she's just remembering it, don't store it in a clay container, only glass. Braxton sighs. You like the pot. I'm sorry, it was ruined. It's fine, says Merriman brightly. It sure came in handy when you blundered it into those spider webs. I remember that differently, says Braxton. You don't have to come in after me, ports Merriman. It was fine. You're the one who got caught in the webs. So we have to mark story point D4 and H1. D4 and H1. If 2 or more time has passed, it hasn't, read entry, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, read 7616. We're going to 7616. 7616. You continue down the road. The sky overhead is soon obscured by the foliage of the forest canopy. Streams of sunlight dance around you, and a gentle breeze shakes the leaves ceiling. Merriman skips forward and spins through the shaft of life, smiling and laughing. It would be best if you stayed close. Becoming lost in the woods is all too common for those not accustomed to traveling without the sun or moon to guide them. Despite the orc's warnings, Braxton makes no additional effort to keep pace with the playful gnome. If story point N3 is marked, no. Otherwise, we read 7094. 7094. What about you? Asked Marion. What are you planning to do in Dragonholt? Before you can answer her, she hunches over and crooks a finger with a sinister hook, putting a sneer into her voice. Are you seeking vengeance to a terrible foe? Just as quickly she swoons, throwing one hand artfully over her forehead. Or are you in search of love? Merriman stumbles backwards over a log with a squawk. She grins up at you from a pile of sticks and leaves. Or maybe just a chance encounter? She continues to talk about anything and everything before finally pausing to take a breath. Ask Merriman about Evertide Forest. Ask Merriman how she met Braxton. Or ask Merriman about gnomes. Again, because she's not really trying to make a lot of friends. She keeps her disease a secret hidden from everyone, which makes it hard for her to find many friends or to bring anyone too close to her heart. So because of that, I think she doesn't really care how they met, Braxton and Merriman. Sure, they're traveling companions. As soon as they get to Dragonholt, she's going her way. they're going their way, hopefully. Ask about gnomes. I mean, maybe trying to find out about gnomes, because maybe gnomes have some kind of recipe that might help her. But I think more importantly, what about the forest? So we're gonna ask Merriman about Evertide Forest. 2306. Again, if you guys are in the chat, if you're listening, 2306, and you have a suggestion, let me know. 2306. I heard all sorts of stories about Evertide Forest, says Merriman. I've even heard that there's a secret kingdom somewhere in the treetops, where elves and fairies dance in the starlight, hidden from the eyes of gnomes. She shrugs and looks up at the mossy tree branches. I don't believe half of it, though. I think it's just a big, dark forest, and people are scared of anything they don't know about. Also, there's the bandits, says Braxton. Oh, wait. Also, there's the bandits, says Braxton from behind you. If 2 or more time has passed, no. Otherwise, read entry 3859. We have not had another time thing. 3859. 3859. Oh boy, here we go. Another big one. Alright. Evertide Forest is an intimidating landmark, as you can see why Braxton was concerned. Within an hour of entering the forest, the thin young trees give way to ancient, gnarling guardians. The light, leafy canopy transforms into an oppressive shroud that cloaks the road in darkness, even during the most sunny of days. Time passes. Dun, dun, dun. So now we got another time pass. There we go. In the darkness of Evertide Forest, a chilling stillness reigns. The ever songbirds are drowned out by silence. You continue onward, Merriman's usually banter quieted by her new mood, one part fascination and one part fear. Braxton keeps an ever vigilant eye on the surroundings, her hand now resting in the pommel of the blade at her waist. You soon come to a stop when you catch up to Merriman. She is glancing down at what appears to be a small game trail that branches away from the main road. Up ahead, you see that a number of fallen trees are blocking your path. An old crosswood signpost marks the split, but the wood is too rotten and the writing is indecipherable. What do we do now? This doesn't seem like Lady Regina has been alerted yet. Braxton strains to look over the fallen tree. We can clear the load ourselves or send word to Lady Regina once we reach Dragonholt. Or we could try this trail, offers Merriman. Maybe it connects to the main road on the other side. So we can scout along the game trail and report back, climb over the trees and continue on the main road, or clear the road of debris before continuing. Okay. Here is what I'm going to say. I have played Dungeons and Dragons since I was in 9th grade. Which I would have been, 17, 16, 15 years old? I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons on and off since I've been 15 years old. I am 60, so 60 minus 15 is 45. 45 years. 45 years of experience playing Dungeons and Dragons on and off for a long time. And if there's trees in the road, like... that's like prime ambush spots. Like, oh, let's walk up to the trees. And as soon as you do, you get ambushed by a group of kobolds, a group of goblins, whatever. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons longer than I've been on. Well, to be honest, I mean, I played, then I stopped, then I played, then I stopped. So it isn't like the whole time I've been playing. But, I mean, let's be honest. Like, this is Dungeons and Dragons 101 is like the first encounter you have is you're walking down the path. Oh, there's a fallen tree. Oh, well, as you get to the fallen tree, you're ambushed. Right? So that's like, I just don't think like, hey, let's climb over the tree and continue down the main road. Or clear the road of debris. No, I think scout the game trail and report back. I mean, Scout the game trail, climb over the tree, or clear the road of debris. I don't like any of those options. But I know like this is like ambush 101, so we're gonna scout the game trail, I think. 58-22. 58. We're gonna try 58-22. 58. 58-22. You follow the game trail away from the main road, ducking under low-hanging branches and hopping over muddy puddles. The trail winds back and forth and you soon lose your bearing. As you scramble over a particularly steep slope, the soft earth gives way and you tumble head over heel until you come to a stop at the base of a tree. If you do not have agility, awareness, or survival, you lose 3 stamina. Well, fortunately for me, I have agility, I have awareness. No, I don't have awareness. Yes, I do have awareness. And I have survival. I have all 3 of these. I should know exactly what I'm doing. Stamina is a measure of how much you can push yourself or resist strain or damage. Excessive amounts of physical labor, prolonged exposure to harsh conditions, and physical damage suffered in combat may cause you to lose stamina. Your maximum stamina is determined during character creation and should be recorded on your character sheet. Whenever you lose stamina, subtract the amount from your current stamina, recording your current stamina separate from your maximum stamina. If your current stamina drops to 0, one of your skills will be disabled and you will not recover 1 stamina. A disabled skill cannot be used until an effect allows you to recover that skill. You crawl back to your feet and continue on, resolving to be more careful. After some time, you rejoin the main road, well past the deadfall that blocked it. You turn back, being cautious to mark your route to rejoin the other. Time passes, so we can go and mark here. We have a 3rd sheet there, or 3rd time. That's lovely. And we're going to mark story point K3. K3. You and your traveling companions make your way along the game trail and continue your journey along the main road. Read entry 8557. 8557. 8557. After following the winding road for what feels like hours, you begin to feel like you're traveling in circles. Just as you're about to suggest turning back, Merriman calls out from beyond the next bend, "There's a clearing up here." As you round the bend, you see Merriman starting up at a single massive tree that stands alone in the center of a clearing, some 20 paces across. Although the great oak's canopy is just as thick as everywhere else in the forest, its branches reach well above the tops of the surrounding trees, affording you a view of the sky at the edge of the clearing. If 3 or more time has passed, which I think, yes, we have got 3 or more time, We read entry 3549. 3549. 35. 35. 49. Okay. It's already night? No wonder I feel so tired, Merriman mutters with a large yawn. Sure enough, when you look up, you see stars sparkling brightly in the vast emptiness of the night sky. You note how brilliant they seem so far from the torchlight of the city. At the edge of the clearing, several paths cut through the dense trees, leading away from the great oak in different directions. Only a few seem well traveled, but none are marked with signs. Braxton, too, has noticed the mirrored option of future travel. We should get our bearings before making camp for the night. Merriman rolls his eyes at Braxton's suggestions. Or we can use the sun as a guide in the morning. I'm going to sleep. With that, she takes out a bedroll and makes camp at the base of the great oak. So we can determine your heading by observing the stars, which requires Arcana, which we have. Survival, which we have. Convince Merriman to read the stars before he sleeps. Requires empathy or persuasion. We don't have either of that, so we can't do that. Climb the great oak to look for the landmark. Requires agility, which we have. Or leave the navigation to Braxton and turn in for the night. We can determine our heading by observing the stars, which requires Arcana. We do have Arcana. 2172. 2172. 2172. You gaze up at the stars, walking a slow circle around the great tree in the clearing's center to get a better view. You take your bearings from the constellations and find Letatara's star. You are now confident you know which way to go to reach Dragonholt. Mark story point L1. L1. There we go. As you make your way back to the campfire, you feel something small strike the top of your head. It's a small wooden statuette. You look up at the branches of the great oak and notice a number of small pages and other trinkets tied to branches or resting on tree limbs. You gain a wooden trinket. Item B. We have found item B. Dun, dun, dun. There are a bunch of different cards that come in the game. We will switch cameras for this one. A, B, C, D, all the way up to T. So we found item B. You're not allowed to look at these, but we can look at this. Wooden trinkets. You found the You found the can't think of the word. I know the word, I just can't say it. You found this intricate wooden trinket at the Great Oak in Everdale Forest. It looks quite old. A heart is carved into the wood carving. The letters T and U. It looks quite old. A heart is carved into the wood containing the letters T and U. So, we have an item. We now have why can't I? Maybe I need to save it. For some reason, oh, that's not what I wanted there at all. I just want to simply, I mean, I can put it elsewhere. That's fine, but we'll put B dash wooden TRINKET trinket. Okay. We're going to save this. That's fine. Let's save this as well. Yeah, it's weird. It's like this section, you can't edit this section. All right. All right. So we got a wooden trinket, which is cool. And we'll switch back over to the other screen now. Okay. Items. Some effects cause you to gain items. To gain an item, record the item's name on your character sheet, then search the item deck for the item card that matches identifiers shown in the parentheses above. Keep the item face down with your character sheet. For instance, to resolve the effect above, record wooden trinket on your character sheet, then search the item deck for item card B, print it on the back, and place the item card face up by your character sheet. After searching the item deck, be sure not to look at the face of any other item cards. You return to the campfire and show the trinket to your companion. What do you make of this? Asked Braxton. I'm not sure, Merriman. I think this is carved by a human or an orc. Too rough to be made by an elf. Probably just some harmless local custom. Merriman tosses the trinket back to you. Read entry 8549. 8549. Okay. You assist Braxton in gathering some kindling and start a small campfire a few paces from the great oak. While you work, you can hear Merriman humming softly to herself. You set out your bedroll and relax. Although you are tired, a brief chatter on the campfire is not an unwelcome event. Ask Merriman what she plans to do in Dragonholt. Ask Braxton what he plans to do in Dragonholt, or go straight to sleep. We already asked Merriman. Do we care what Braxton is going to do, or do we want to just go to sleep? I think... Yeah, I think we'll, I guess we'll ask Braxton. So we mark story point E7. Oh, we already have E7. Oh, did we already talk to Braxton? Oh, no, it says requires story point E7. Yes, so we've already, yes, it is marked. So we read entry 4945. 4945. 4945. 4945. Braxton smiles gently, nodding her head in Merriman's direction. I will continue to protect my friend Marion as long as she requires my services. As you may have noticed, looking after her does not leave me much time for anything else. I resemble that mark, says Merriman. After that, I am not certain. I will I'm not certain what to do with myself after meeting Merriman, either. I suppose I will travel to a large city and try to find employment. I can ask Braxton about her past. I can ask Braxton how she met Merriman. I can tell Braxton about my past adventures if I have deception, which I do have deception right there. I can ask Braxton which lord she serves, which requires empathy or history. I don't have that, so we can't do that option. Ask Braxton about her military training, which requires history or military. Nope, can't do that one either. Show Braxton how to foil sleight of hand. Requires awareness or thievery. We have awareness. So we can show Braxton how to foil sleight of hand. We can tell her about our past adventures, making up lies and deceiving her. We can ask Braxton about her past adventures. We can ask Braxton how he met Merriman. Show Braxton how to foil sleight of hand. I'm not sure I would want to spend time teaching somebody thievery skills. We don't care about her military. We don't care about which lord she serves. So it's either deceiving her about our past adventures. Again, I don't want people to know about me. I'm not going to tell them about my past adventures. I'm either going to ask them about their past adventures or how they met. Let's find out how they met. 98, 99. 98, 98, 99. We were both thrown out of the same tavern. I can believe that, says Braxton. Well, I say thrown. I walked out on my own power, at least. Merriman was already a bit drunk. I was not, breaks in Merriman. And you didn't save my life 3 times that night. And then I saved her life 3 times over the course of the night, continues Braxton. So she figured she might as well make it official and hire me. Merriman levels a cross gaze at Braxton, wiggling one finger in the general direction of the orc's face. First of all, the bit about the water doesn't count. Braxton chuckles to her and smiles as she watches Merriman turn away from you. There is some disagreement as to precisely how much life-saving happened that night, but in any event, I'm glad we met. Mark story points S2 and Z1. S2 and Z1. S2 and Z1. If 2 or more time has passed, we go to 4389. And we are 4389. You change the subject, electing to ask Braxton what she knows about Dragonholt. I've never been to Dragonholt, says Braxton. Lord Kaler's lands are west of here, so I had never had an occasion to visit. I did hear the village has a fine inn. You heard that from me, calls Merriman. Merriman's aunt runs the place, says Braxton with a smile. Apart from that, I think the place is rather unremarkable. a small collection of houses surrounded by farms and orchards. She frowns and drums her finger on the hilt of her sword, looking all around. Well, there was that one story about a brave hero who could freeze a dragon's frames in his throat. But I would think that's just a story. Braxton lapsed into a comfortable silence for some time. Ask Braxton about her family, ask Braxton about orcs, or leave Braxton to her thoughts. 75.98 again. Not trying to be buddy. 75.80, 75.98. 75.98. Don't mind her, Merriman says to you in a hushed voice. Braxton isn't much for socializing. Don't take it personally. I'm sure she'll warm up to you over time. If 2 or more time has passed, read entry 1096. We have got 1096. Merriman lets out a long yawn, and you second the motion. As you nestle up in your bedroll for the night, Braxton speaks up. Best we don't all sleep at once. I'll take the first watch. Can I count on you to take the second? You nod in agreement and drift off to sleep. One of you must volunteer to keep watch. Refresh your activity token if you keep watch. The rest of your exhaust your activation tokens. Okay, that's if you're playing multiplayer. One person stays up, everyone else goes to sleep. 2 time passes. 2 time passes. 1, 2. You each recover 2 stamina. Well, we haven't lost any stamina because we're the best. Alright. You rouse from your slumber to gentle coaxing from Braxton. Your turn to watch, she says quietly. You rub your eyes for a moment and sit up, taking a drink from your canteen to wake yourself. You glance around the camp at your fellow travelers. Braxton prepares her bedroll, lies down, and is quickly asleep. Merriman stirs for a moment, possibly awakened by the brief commotion, and rolls to her other side. A gentle silence takes hold of the clearing. Your journey to Dragonholt has been a long one, but you are now no more than a half-day travel from your destination. The crack of burning branches in the campfire keeps you company as you keep watch. The moon is beginning to set, and you know the light of a new day will soon dawn. Will soon grace the forest clearing where you made camp. Just then, you hear a rustle in the thick bush to one side of the camp, and recall Braxton's warnings about bandits. Watch for further movement or signs of danger. Arm yourself and take a closer look, or wake your fellow traveling companions. The cracked you hear a rustling in the thick bush to one side of the camp. I don't think she would just immediately wake everyone up like freaked out. Like, I don't think that's her. I think she would be a little more cautious. Like, could just be a skunk, could be a raccoon, could be anything, a squirrel rustling in the bushes, a deer, whatever. It could be anything. It doesn't necessarily mean it is bandits. And here's the thing, it's like almost morning now, so if the bandits were going to attack, they would have attacked in the middle of the night. They wouldn't have waited till morning, right? So I'm gonna wait for further movement of signs of danger. 31-23. 31-23. You shift yourself to wake the side of the camp, but you hear the rustling, but you see nothing in the darkness. You wonder if the firelight is blinding your night vision, or if the sound you heard was just some animal scurrying about. Just when you think that you're worried for nothing, you hear a branch snap, and leaves rustle, and then a half dozen rough-looking figures step from the trees. Damn. They're clad in torn and stained clothes and scraps of leather. Their long knives and the steel of their arrowheads glisten in the light of your fire. Bandits! The bandits rush forward as you scramble to your feet. Some of them lift their bows, pulling the arrows back and aiming for you. You shout a warning to your companions, who spring to their feet and arm themselves. Read entry 5912. Well, that didn't go well. 5912. I guess I should have... $59.12. More and more bandits steep in the firelight. Their armor and weapons seem crude, but sufficient for the purpose. Braxton grips her sword in her right hand, doing her best to keep herself and her shield between Merriman and all the bandits. Draw your weapon and engage the bandits. Notch an arrow and fire at the bandits. Require archery, which we don't have. Toss a flask of explosive liquid at the bandits. Requires alchemy. Guess what we're doing? Attempt to reason with the bandits. Hell no! Fire, boys! Fire! 63.97. You hurl a flask containing one of your own concoctions to shatter at the hard earth. The substance erupts in flickering red flame just as you intended. Well, approximately as you intended. The flames lick at two of the nearby bandits, spreading to their tattered breeches and tunics. The bandits run, screaming, beating at the fire as it threatens to consume them. But the remaining bandits give the pool of flickering fire a wide berth and close in. Merriman flourishes one of her own flasks. Not bad, she says. Look like a variation of Lorman fire, right? I don't think either of us has enough of that handy to deal with all these bandits, though. Also, says Braxton through grinning teeth, I would prefer if no one set fire to the forest until we're out of it. Read entry 4300. Braxton hefts a heavy steel shield and slashes her longsword threateningly at one of the approaching bandits. Merriman produces two flasks and unstops one of them. A thick, acidy smoke pours from its open mouth as she lifts it aloft, ready to throw. Three of the bandits suddenly rush forward, charging the camp. Merriman hurls the smoking flask, which smashes against one of their bucklers. A billowing cloud of acid fog erupts from the impact site. The bandits shriek and flail, dropping his buckler to the ground as it dissolves. The two other bandits continue their charge. One swings an axe at Merriman, but Braxton catches the blade with her longsword and slams his shield on the man, sending him tumbling to the ground. The third bandit dodges along Braxton and darts forward straight towards you. Spear point trained at your chest. Dodge the attack. Catch the spear and disarm the bandit. Do we have dueling or military? No, so we can't do that. Blast the bandit with a rune. We do have Arcana. So we can blast the bandit with a rune, dodge the attack, or catch the spear and disarm the bandit. I think blast the bandit with some runes. 3607. 3607. You produce a blasting rune from your hidden pocket. With a violent thrust of your hand, you channel the arcane energy from the shard into the ground before the charging bandit. The earth swells before erupting into an explosive spray of molten shrapnel. The explosion occurs closer to you than you had anticipated, and you throw yourself to the ground to avoid the shower of shattering stone. If you do not have agility, well, fortunately we do, we would lose 3 stamina, so we don't have to lose any stamina. When the dust settles, you see the bandit lying motionless beside this smoldering crater. Mark story point H3. I'm sorry, if story point H3 is marked, it is not. We read entry 9513. So we're going to try 9513 since we didn't do the other thing. 9513. For Kayla and Harmon, bellows Braxton. For Kayla and Harmon, bellows Braxton. For Kayla and Harmon, bellows Braxton. Okay, so these are names we haven't heard. For Kayla and Harmon, bellows Braxton in the flickering firelight. She seems a demon from the nightmare, huge and dark and powerful. 3 of the bandits attempt to surround her, but she pivots away, slamming her shield into one of them and knocking them down. Then thrusting at a second and sending him screaming into the dark, clutching at his face. She trades blow with a large human with an axe, sliding off her shield. Her sword flickers past his face as he dances backwards. You notice the bandit with his hair in a long braid, creeping up behind Braxton with a knife glimmering in his hand. Focused on Braxton is on her battle with the large bandit. She clearly hasn't noticed him. We can intercept the approaching bandit. We can catch the bandit from behind. Or we can stop the bandit with an alchemical concoction. Well, guess what? We are all about the alchemy, baby. 5037. Let's go back to 5037. I mean, if you're good at something, be good at it, right? You pull out an oiled leather bladder and hurl it as hard as you can at the bandit's feet. The bladder busts, sending a black tar-like substance all over the grass and the bandit's legs. What is this stuff? The bandit says, trying to push the oblique from his thigh with one hand. I'm stuck, he says, trying to retrieve his hand. With the wail, the bandit soon finds that his feet are rooted in place, and he attempts to move, only sends him untoppling over to get even more stuck. You'd like to watch his travails and take notes, but sadly there's no time. Read entry 2004. Your accomplices are still locked in combat with the bandits, who swarm around the edge of the light provided by your campfire. Screaming incoherently, a scarred bandit rushes at you. In one hand, he brandishes a studded iron mace. The other arm ends in a steel hook, its metal glimmering in the firelight. I don't have military. We can protect ourselves with an alchemical mixture. Woo! We're all about the alchemical mixtures. 4340. Yes. 4340. She's got a lot of things. For all these years, she's been working hard on this. 4340. You reach into your belt pouch to retrieve a mixture of what stop the approaching bandit in his tracks, but the bandit charges faster than you thought, and you fumble at the flap. In a moment, the bandit is upon you, his mace held high. If you have agility, read 4884. Otherwise, you're doomed. No, I'm sorry. 4884. We do have agility. So 4884. You pull out a glass flask from your pouch at your hip, unstopping it. The light Let's start again. You pull out a glass flask from your pouch in your hip, unstoppering it, and the light and soaked rag protruded from the end. With an underhand toss, you lob the burning bottle at the bandit, who drops his mace and catches the flask one-handed with a terrified look. He shrieks as the scalded hot glass of the bottle burns his hands. He bobbles the concoction and reaches to catch up with his other hand, the hook. The bottle breaks on the ground at his feet, sending a pillar of flame up into his face. He screams, tearing at his own skin with his hooked hand in an attempt to put out the fire, and falls over dead. Read entry 2399. Well, that's what you get for messing with me, boys. You find yourself standing in a loose circle with your companions and no bandits close at hand. Even more of the energy emerges from the trees, however, and they begin to surround you. What now, breathes Merriman? I'm sure it's the first time you've heard fear in her voice. The bandit leader chuckles and squeaks, causing the firelight to play off the long scar on the side of his face in his sinister way. Drop your valuables and leave. There's no need for you all to die here. The other bandits howl and hoot and banish their blades and axes in the air in front of you. Braxton glances sideways at you. There's too many of them. We can't not win this fight. She edges backwards and you notice her lean in the direction of Dragonholt. You can't have my gold. I'll be using it to start my business, hissed Miriam. Despite the bite of her words, you notice her hands trembling. Fend off the bandits for as long enough for the others to escape, which causes brawling, dueling, and Nope, can't do that. We don't own any of those. Create a diversion and flee towards Dragonholt. Requires deception and performance. We can do that. Create a smoke screen and escape towards Dragonholt, which requires alchemy. Boy, it's a good thing we have alchemy, because, wow. So it's either create a diversion and flee, or use our alchemy again and flee. Let's go with alchemy again. 90, 94.95. 94.95. You smash a vial on the ground, releasing thick clouds of billowing smoke. I'll add injury to insult, shouts Merriman. She tosses 2 handfuls of pellets into the cloud smoke. You notice the pellets change shape as they land. 4 triangular barbs protruding from each pellet like so many caltrops. That'll slow them down. The smoke soon obscures you and your companions, and you escaped in the direction of Dragonholt. They can't be gone far, billows the bandit leader. Find them. Read entry 3645. 3645. You run through Eventide Forest, scrambling and stumbling as you go. You're surprised to discover that you can see, and you realize that the sun must already be rised somewhere behind the trees. Time passes. So we got another time pass. There we go. The narrow and twisting path soon comes to a steep climb with a rocky outcrop that rises above on either side. A large standing stone towers to your right. You can hear the bandits. You can hear the bandits still coming behind you, shouting to their fellows like hounds on the hunt. But any pursuer will have to stumble up the same narrow glutch. Tip over the standing stone to block the path. Fire your bow. Nope, don't own a bow. And set a trap. Requires survival. So we can either block their path with the stone or set a trap with our survival. Let's Let's set a trap for the bandits. 35, 75. You quickly make a set of snares that you tether to young trees at the top of the gulch. Then you cover them with a handful of leaves and gravel. You urge your companions on and fall back as the bandits grow closer, hooting and baying as they come. Their shouts turn to cries of alarm as you hear the first of your snares yank a bandit off their feet. Read entry 5129. With the bandits preoccupied by your efforts back at the gulch, you are able to gain a considerable lead on them. The rocky terrain continues to rise up around you, the trees of Evertide Forest becoming smaller and scrappier as you go. Soon you come to a sheer cliff face, only a few scraggly trees clinging to the rocks rise above you. Sunlight spills across the sky above the cliff, a promise of freedom and safety. As you climb up to the top, it would be a challenge. The path continues to the left a fair distance, then becomes a tight switchback, crawling up to the top of the rise. It would be a safer route to the top, but slower than climbing. So we can either climb, or we can use the switchback. We have agility, we have streetwise, we have alertness. Let's climb. 4055, 4055. You scramble up the cliff face, relying on the trees to cling to cracks in the rock like handholds. That proves unwise, as not all of the trees are anchored securely enough to bear your weight, and you find yourself dangling from your fingertips above the steep drop. You each lose 2 stamina unless you have athletics. We do not have athletics, so we are down to 10 stamina. Wait a minute. Can we... No, we can't go there either. Jesus. I would like to. Well. Let's save these both. And I'm going to close them and I'm going to open them again. And let's see if that makes any difference at all. Well, of course it doesn't. So I guess we'll go down to 10. Actually, well, we'll go here. We'll go to 10 hit points. We'll keep track on a different sheet. For some reason, this other sheet's not letting us. Like, you should be able to type in here. It's not letting us do it. But that's all right. I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. You each lose 2 stamina unless you have the athletics. I don't have athletics. Merriman isn't making things any easier, despite Braxton's efforts. I'll be fine, she huffs. I'm not the only one here who needs help, she says with a nod to you. In fairness to the gnome, she's not dangling from her fingertips. Braxton makes her way over to you and helps you regain your footing. Test each toehold before you put your weight on it, she says. You resume your climb, but you hear shouting below you. The bandits have reached the bottom of the cliff. They immediately begin pelting you with arrows and stones, making the rest of the climb a nightmare. You each lose 3 stamina, unless you have the agility. Ah, we have agility. Yay. Finally, you make it to the top, grasping for breath. You're safe from the bandits' arrows up here, but the bandits have already begun to climb up after you. We can throw rocks at the bandits, We can smash a vial of alchemic fire on the cliff face, or we can blast the cliff face with runic magic. Well, you know which one I'm doing. 4293. We're going to blast him with alchemical fire. You hold up a vial of Lord Tamir's fire, staring a knowing glance with Merriman. Oh, that's just mean, she says, pulling out a vial of her own. On 3, she says, and you count it off. Together, each of you break your vials of fire on the hip of the cliff face, sending a cascade of burning liquid down the climbing bandits. Shrieking in pain and fear, they hurl themselves off the cliff, some burning, others desperate to escape. Mark story point G1. Read entry 9999. That's about the last one in the book. Oh my God, it's a huge one. It's a huge one. All right. As the sun climbs above the... 9999 must be the end one. Okay. As the sun climbs above the trees, you continue your journey towards Dragonholt. At your new elevation, the trees are smaller and farther apart, and at some point you have passed an invisible barrier where you are not in a forest as so much a rocky plain with occasional trees. Dragonholt lies below you, and you can see the beacon tower rising above the trees. The sun climbing the sky behind it. You have less than an hour of walking before you. Time passes. So look at that, we're almost maxed out on time. At length you walk through an orchard, the twisted trees heavy with fruit and propped up by weathered boards and poles. Then you find yourself at Dragonholt's main street, walking beneath the dueling dragon statues that serve as the closest thing to a city gate. One dragon is carved from black stone, the other from white, and they arch across the street above you, not quite touching. Marvelous, breathed Braxton. Was some sort of memorial of the Dragon Wars, says Marion. This way, he says, and skips down the cobblestone street as if he hadn't been woken in the middle of the night by bandits. You cross the crowded village green that is laid out before a garden shrine with a domed glass ceiling. In front of the shrine stands a... Hang on a minute. It's asking me to save this. Let's go ahead and save it. That's fine. Okay, sorry. You cross a crowded village green that is laid out before a garden shrine with a domed glass ceiling. In front of the shrine stands a marble spire, atop which burns a beacon fire. Then you pass a building dark with soot and marred by broken windows. Merriman pauses at the intersection, peers down 2 side streets before nodding vigorously and leading the way south. We'll get a proper breakfast as soon as we find my aunt's inn, he says. It's called the Swan. Does it have a lovely white swan painted on its sign, asks Braxton. Yes, it does, says Merriman. Then is that it? He says, as she points, and Merriman beams. That's it. Let's go. She rushes off in a fresh burst of energy, leaving you stumbling along behind. When you finally reach the Swan, you find Merriman babbling excitedly to a gnome who looks almost exactly like her, plus 20-some years. You must be Merriman's friend, said the old woman. I'm Merriman's Aunt Sophie. It's good to meet you. She welcomes you inside, and you step down into a blessed, cold, half-sunken common room with a scattering of thick oak tables, and sturdy chairs lie beneath rafters strung with herbs and root vegetables. Thick iron lanterns rest on each table, none lit now, and light steams in from tall windows against the south wall. Please have a seat. Stay your hour. Please have a seat, says your host. And you do. We've made it, says Braxton, dropping heavily into a chair that creaks under her weight. I think I could sleep for a week. None of that, says Merriman. We have work to do. Braxton lifts his head and glares. Starting tomorrow, I guess. Let's all take today off. Merriman vanishes into the back room, then appears a few minutes later with a tray rattled with glass bottles of red liquid. Here, she says, and demonstrates the bottles. It's the least I can do for helping me get here safely. You gain 3 healing potions. Item A. You distribute these potions among yourselves as you choose. Healing potions. You can carry healing potions. However, there is only 1 copy of the healing potion item card, which should be shared as a reference among players. Some items, healing potions included, have additional effects listed on the item card. You may drink a potion at any time. To do so, you must have at least 1 potion recorded on your character sheet. When you drink a healing potion, reduce the number of healing potions you have by 1 and record half of your maximum and recover half of your maximum stamina. If playing with 2 or more heroes, you can drink a potion only if your activated token is not exhausted. In addition, you may give any number of your potions or other items to another hero at any time, but only if your activation token is not exhausted. Drinking a potion or giving an item to another hero does not exhaust your activation token. Wow, we got a lot to go over here. Okay. Sapphire returns a moment later with a large tray overflowing with plates of yellow eggs, loaves of dark brown meat, loaves of dark brown bread, and a tall pitcher of milk. I hope you'll stay at the Swan for as long as you like, she says. No charge, of course. Not after what you went through to get my Merriman here safely. Merriman pours everyone a tall glass of milk. She holds her aloft and exclaims, 2 new roads! Braxton takes a glass, holds it up, and looks at Merriman and Sapphire, and then to you. 2 new friends. The meal is amazing, and you soon collapse in room provided by your generous host, who does through the majority of the day. After dinner, you rest in the common room, chatting idly with Braxton and another patron. Soon the lack of a good night's sleep is too much, and you retire to your room. You will have to explore Dragonholt in the morrow. You recover half of your maximum stamina, which takes us back to full, because we're awesome. We're back at full. There we go. Save that. There we go. You each recover a skill. We didn't lose any skills. You each refresh your activation token. Where's are always fresh because we're playing solo. You each gain 1 experience, which means we now have 3 experience. Your fame increases by 1. This quest is complete. Read entry 1001 in the Dragonholt Village book. So there is a huge Dragonholt Village book. We'll read entry 1001. All right, track sheets. Each quest book, including this village book, has its own tracking sheet to be found in the back cover of the book. While reading from this book, time and progress are tracked on this corresponding tracking sheets for this book. Encounters. The entries in this book are grouped in a number of encounters. Each encounter is a short collection of related entries. Once you begin an encounter, continue reading as normal until your encounter is completed. When reading this book, you do not exhaust your activation token when you make a decision, and requirements and options can be fulfilled by any and all of you. Again, if you're playing multiplayer. You wake to the smell of freshly baked bread and the chirp voices of Merriman and Sophar. Golden shafts of sunlight steam through the window beside your bed, and you idle for a moment before getting up, watching the dust float in the air in the morning light. With a yawn and a stretch, you rise from your bed and prepare yourself for the day ahead. As you step out of the room, you see that Braxton has already just stepped into the corridor. She gives you a polite smile and nod. Morning! You're just about to respond when Merriman comes around the corner from the direction of the common room. Good, you're awake. Breakfast is ready. It's a real feast, exclaims Merriman eagerly. Come on. It'll get cold if you just dawdle in the hallway. With that, Merriman takes Braxton's hand and drags her, Braxton allows her to be dragged towards the common room. And then we read entry 1042, which we will not get into at this point because I think that is going to complete our adventure for today. At the end of the quest of a particular harrowing adventure, the event might cause you to gain more experience. Experience is an abstract measure of where you've learned. Record the amount of experience. Okay, so we have an experience. 1 XP. 1 fame is what we gained. We already recovered a skill, and this quest is complete. Read entry 1001 in the Dragonholt village. Okay, completing a quest. You have now completed the 2-road quest. You will no longer read entries from this quest book. When you complete a quest, an effect will instruct you to read an entry from another quest book. You will continue the story in that quest book. After you completed a quest, it's a great time to take a break. You might wish to stop playing for now and pick up from here at a later date. If so, record the entry number and book you have been directed to and the story tracking sheet so you can pick up where you left off the next time that you play. Woo! There we go. That is Kara the Gifted. She's made it to Dragonholt. And we actually have another card. We haven't showed you this, but we actually have card A as well, which is the healing potion. We actually, which reminds me, we actually have 3 healing potions. 3 healing potions. Potions. Potions, right? 3 healing potions. All right. So we'll save that. We'll save this. Okay. So that is that. So we have, I'm going to basically just put these 2 back in the package, but put them face forward so I know that these 2 are ones that I have. And we will continue this adventure sometime down the line. I'm hoping to get actually soon, like in the next day or 2, I think we will do another part of this adventure, because I think if I wait too long, I'll forget where I was at, and then I'll probably want to restart and all that. So probably we'll be picking this up, trying at least a couple of the adventures just to see what happens and how they go. We made it to the village now. So now, like, the story's going to branch off depending on what we do when we're there, who we talk to. We might be going off to do Adventure B or Adventure C. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of other books. The Dragonholt Village is the thickest book, and there's just so much you're going to be able to do in this town and different quests. We got to go talk to our person, right? But we also have, like the map of Dragonholt, which I'm not looking at. And then there is Paper Faces, Terror on the Prairie, Crypt of Crendam, Whispering Leaves, Sliver of Silver. So there's all kinds of different books and different adventures to go on now, I think, depending on what we do and what our friend has to say, and I guess, and based upon what the decisions we need to make. So that is Legacy of Dragonholt. Cool game so far. Pretty cool. Let me know your thoughts, comments, questions, suggestions, comments, anything. Let me know in the comments section down below before we get into episode number 2. There's something else that we should do in town. If you have any thoughts about where the adventure should go, all that, let me know in the comments section. Otherwise, thanks. We did like quite a bit in that book. That book gave us lots of entries, but not every number's used. Like I would say it goes like 4487, and then it might go to like 4901, and then it might go 4944. So like it skips like every 50 numbers. So I mean, the book was only maybe 15 or 20 pages long. It wasn't like super huge book. The other ones seem a little bit thicker, like they're going to take a little bit longer. That one said it takes between 50. It says between 50 and 80 minutes. We were an hour and a half, which was 90 minutes. So we did the intro and all that in the beginning though. So we didn't even get to this part. We had to, read the story and stuff. So that was about right, 80 minutes. So the other ones, Dragonholt Village take 30 to 50 minutes per chapter. Then you look at these other storybooks. Let's see what they say. 50 to 80 minutes. 50 to 80 minutes. 50 to 80 minutes. Yeah, they all say the same thing. 50 to 80 minutes. So everyone's going to take an hour to an hour and a half. That's about right. Yeah, I would think that's about right. So thanks for watching. It was a good time. Car the Gifted. We'll be back for part 2 sometime soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.